I suggest that we go to the next topic, and that is open processes. And this is a little bit, how do you, I'm looking for the right word here, contradictio in terminis, is how can you create a process for innovation? So, but the thing is, how can you create a platform, a system, a context for innovation? So let me throw that in the group. What are the experiences, best practices that you're using in your organizations to make sure that innovation works and that it is structured a little bit?
I'm happy to start on that one. So we have a applied research team here at BT, and we have our kind of heart of innovation is at Industrial Park, which is in Ipswich. So one of the things that we've got is customer showcases. So they're not so much product showcases as really an invitation for customers to come and spend time with us and to talk about some of the problems that they're trying to solve or the opportunities that they have, and for our engineers to work together with them to be able to come up with innovative ideas and solutions. And we have them in various different areas. So we have healthcare, we've got connected home, we've got agile banking, and it really gives people the opportunity to come together and really start that conversation that we can then build upon. Build upon that, recognizing that innovation does happen everywhere in the organization. It's not just one team of people that are innovating, but I think that's a great way of us really starting that conversation and bringing customers sort of closer to us and really being able to support them with that. And in that same location, we have an innovation cluster of 150 different companies, some of them very large, well-known companies, others are sort of startups, and they also work with us and participate in those showcases as well, and in fact run some of those. So we have a very collaborative environment within that area that sits very closely with our operational teams so that we can work really closely together between ops and innovation.
Okay.
Yeah, well, actually, just to add on to what Angela's saying, we're actually co-located there, and I highly recommend going through that facility. It is pretty awesome. There's some really great ideas that come out of there, and we love joining you guys in some of those discussions. So cool. Thank you for that. We look forward to seeing you there sometime, Angela.
Yes, definitely. I'm actually I'm organising an event there in a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully our lockdown restrictions will be lifted, and we're planning to bring our whole senior management team into Industrial Park. We're going to go and see the showcases, look at some demos, and just spend some time with the researchers so that we can just start to bring new ideas into our area. And really think about what are the things that we want to be focused on, in this sort of growth phase of the business. So it's really exciting. It's a great place, and yeah, I would definitely love to meet you there.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, open innovation is definitely something that we're seeing with our customers as well. And every conversation we're in is, what is the art of the possible, and how do I bring in best of breed versus going with the old monolithic systems? And how do I not carry forward with new technology what I've been doing with the old monolithic technology? That whole transformation process, it's required getting business as well as IT and network in the same room, collaborating cross-functionally on what it is that we're trying to do. And that's why, things like TIP and TM Forum and, the Linux Foundation, where they're doing a lot of this open systems innovation and standards work, is really important. And that's where we find a lot of really good work happening to help us at least have the conversation that is meaningful across many versus trying to be only for one. So we're excited to be part of all of those different organizations, and also just sharing some of that thought leadership across our customers, our prospects, and talking about what is possible and how do you just stay super agile to really not be able to predict anything, but be ready for everything. So. Okay, that was good, Angela. I really like that.
I like the way that Orange is creating an open innovation model. So let me share that for a moment with you.
And what you see there is that the interesting part in innovation is about basically creating connections between technologies, creating connections between people, and creating connections between people who have a solution to a problem they don't know, and creating, and the opposite, people who don't know there are solutions for their problem, making them encounter them.
Yep.
And not necessarily focus, because if you don't know that your problem may have a solution, you're not going to ask for somebody for it. The same thing if you don't know that that problem exists, you're not going to propose that solution. So the classical process of, I would say, I have a demand and somebody supplies it, doesn't work. So you have to create that ecosystem, that market. Here it was an internal market, to make people talk to each other, to test technologies, to get your hands dirty, because that's the moment you really know what works and what doesn't work. Because if you have to follow the PowerPoint slides, you're obviously often disappointed. However, if you put really your hands on, if you really test it, you see what's coming, you see what's living, you can talk intelligently about it, and you create very interesting experiences. We had cases where you start with a connected aquarium or a connected mirror, which ends up to a drone flying in a data center. So just because people connect solutions with problems in a less regulated way than you used to do in traditional processes.
And so one of the conclusions I had in that conversation was you almost need to organize serendipity, and that's you have to create a platform for people to and ideas to connect. Charles, what is your innovation model? Are you using innovation challenges? Are you doing hackathons? Are you giving people a budget? So what's the innovation model at MTN?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I'm listening to Hendrik, and quite inspiring. I'm also liking Angela's contribution as well. Very helpful. I mean, first of all, my point is that we have done amazing products in the market, so we are innovating. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in business. So because innovation occurs, like I think Angela was saying, daily in the business today. But I guess what we are not maybe deliberate about is defining the model and structuring it in a way that maybe you make it super visible across the business. But daily within the organization, people, whether it's a commercial guy discussing with an engineer or an IT guy or a regulatory guy, there's all these frictions that happen every day in the organization, maybe because there's a call center problem, or maybe there's an issue at the stores. All those frictions, foster some form of innovation that happens on a daily basis in the business. But where we've been deliberate is maybe bringing external third parties, and whether we're structuring, a joint, the art of the possible discussion with Microsoft. We've got a stream that we are doing with them. We've got a stream with Google. We've got a stream with Facebook. So we've got dedicated streams of innovation exploring the art of the possible with multiple partners. We have streams of developers. We've got hackathons that we run to bring developers into the ecosystem to create new products and services. We've got open API capabilities that onboard new developers every day who has ideas of how they can be able to expose new services. We've got a sandbox capability so they can go in, log in, create an API, test the services. But I think internally, reflecting on what I'm listening to a number of the colleagues on the call, is that I think there's still an opportunity for us internally to structure this thing in a much more deliberate way, to create some form of a process and a funnel of sorts where ideas can come forward, they can be vetted, and they can be elevated. But I still say that, for organizations to continue at this scale, to grow to 270 million subscribers, to have new services, it means that you are innovating, because otherwise you'll be nowhere. And I think, we should always be careful not to make innovation an isolated process. Innovation occurs in the daily occurrence of running a business. And you need to sort of emphasize that within the organization. We don't need to set up a separate thing outside this business for people to innovate. Where you are today, whether you are a level 1 manager writing small code, you can innovate with the person sitting next to you. So you should be able to do that as long as people are recognized and the ideas and the success are visible, they will innovate.
Charles, now that you're talking about, APIs is close to your heart, I can imagine, because one of your 3 main projects in there. Tell us a little bit more about this API marketplace that you're putting in there, because that's that's a platform for innovation, right?
Very much so. I mean, you know, I've always believed in the API economy. You know, it took me a while to get it where we are today. You know, 3 years later, we managed to achieve ambition. So now what did we do? We approached the organization, approached our exco and said, look, we believe that there's an opportunity in the African context to actually help, whether it is any vertical, you know, whether you're in manufacturing, whether you are in finance, whether you're in telco, to actually expose and monetize your assets. Today we've got these little silos of API aggregators, but you don't have the massive scale of API aggregation in the African context. So what we did, we said, we want to build a completely separate business. And we went to pitch the idea as technology department, not a commercial department. Now, that's not something that people are comfortable with when they hear technology executive coming to talk about a commercial ambition, as opposed to talking about fixing the network. But we thought, look, as part of fixing the network, we bumped into this platform that we are building, because remember, we are building API capabilities within the business anyway. And we say, if we as MTN, if we as ourselves are using this massive hub of connectivity and data exchange, why can't we take it out of the business, commercialize it as a separate key platform, and then bring other players in and make MTN an anchor tenant on the platform? Took us about 3 exco meetings to get past, to get approval, but we managed to launch it, and what we're now building is that we're saying, every SME, every young person, every enterprise who have APIs that they want to sell, dump them on our platform, CIONEXT.io, dump them on our platform. We are also building our own APIs. We're working with the likes of Twilio on 2-factor authentication, SIM registration verification, AI-based APIs. We are constructing what I call, fusion APIs, where we are now taking location, we're taking banking, we're taking telecoms, bundling it into super APIs that we're commercializing on the platform. That, we believe, will fuel innovation in the continent. We believe it fuel innovation in our business, and it will help also organizations to also monetize their assets. So they will be able to make revenue, and any other person who's an idea or an API to publish, they'll push the API on the CIONEXT platform. Very, very excited about it. CIONEXT.io. So anybody who's listening, they can check that out.
Thank you so much. So I would like to call Luca in the panel, because Luca has been monitoring. We've got a couple of interesting questions here. Luca, please go ahead.
So last week I had the privilege to be in a discussion with CIOs on multi-cloud, and one of the points there was, one of the conclusions there was 99% of all the features and capabilities you might want to wish, or your business might need, has already been built somewhere by somebody in a cloud on Earth. And so it's mainly about studying what's already out there and then combining things in a smart way and combining them in such a way that you're different and that your business can really benefit from it, and that it's a different approach to your customers. So one of the questions that came up here today in the chat really made me think back of that, and I really would like to get your opinion on that. The question was, so does the IT department of the future only consist of business analysts, architects, and buyers who combine those cloud services? Or is there also still a need for programmers and other people in IT?
Yeah, look, I will risk and answer that question. I think I really liked what you said about, you say 90% of the things we're trying to create, someone has already solved them. And that point really resonated with me. And thanks for sharing that, because that's really why when I talk about API capabilities, because what API essentially does is that you just borrow someone's capability, location services, verification, 2-factor authentication. Many of these new tech companies are just purely an amalgamation of APIs. Of someone's APIs packaged into one key business model, and then a business gets launched. So I completely agree with that. I just don't think that we are at the stage where we cannot have developers yet in the business. I think there's still maybe some peculiarities in terms of local requirements that you still have to build a little bit, but more and more, what I'm seeing is that, I'm seeing it even within my own organization, is that, whether you're looking for an API, you can find it in maybe one operation in South Africa or in Nigeria who have built the same capability. You don't have to be able to start the building all the time from scratch. So the borrowing of the building capability can still be done even internally, even before you go outside. So I think, and that's going to be much more as we go forward, because most of the capabilities will all be residing in the API layer, and they can all be reused, and there'll be less development as we move forward. You know, that's how I see it.
Any other opinions?
Not immediately.
And how do you then organize yourself? Because all of these innovations are going at the speed of light. So how can you ever keep up? How can you ever make sure that your monitoring and scouting process is good enough to find exactly what you need in the right time?
Okay, I mean, it's difficult. I think the where we are now with tech, I mean, if you look at the changes that are happening in the technology space, I mean, it's massive scale in terms of number of changes. So it's not easy. So what we are doing, we're building a library of APIs. And this is a central repository that we are building of all the API capabilities. So hopefully, if what we can achieve is that people can borrow the APIs in the library and integrate. We're also now building what we call a software development center of excellence, because what I'm changing from the company is that I can't have 21 markets doing their own little software development but themselves. So I'm aggregating this into the center and building a massive scale software development entity. Why can we do that now? Is because now, unlike in the past, there are instruments to be able to do proper coding and library management than before. So if I can have one central entity doing all the development for multiple markets and do proper demand management coming into the center, I should be able to achieve that.
Okay, good.